Danny, could we please have a one-word spooky theme prompt?
Cruise.
Cruise. Okay. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Feel like this crew is cruising for a bruising.
Oh, there's some bruising going on.
Yeah. I've never been on a cruise. I can't tell if I would like it or not. I think something about knowing that I can't, get off for a couple days or something.
If Jason Takes Manhattan taught us anything, cruises are not for us. Hang on one second. Hey, welcome to the Overtalking Podcast with your host, Ken and CJ. Say hi, CJ.
Hi, I'm Ira Glass, and welcome to This Romanian Life. In 1897, a Russian schooner was chartered to carry private cargo consisting of 50 wooden crates from Romania to England. When the ship arrived, it was derelict. The name of the vessel was Demeter. This is the story of its crew.
That was great. Yes, well, so that brilliant introduction leads us to the final week of Monster Month. It's Vampire Week. We have to round it out with vampires with the brand new movie this year, The Last Voyage of the Demeter, which Ira Glass so eloquently introduced.
So nice of him to call in and do
that was incredible. And you know what? We always seem to round out the month with a very special guest. Returning once again is Double Murder Podcast's Danny.
Hey, hi everybody. Hi.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah, just for the record, since you brought it up, cruises sound like an absolute nightmare to me.
Yeah.
Sign me up for an all-inclusive resort because it's not in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah.
Right.
No, something about and also knowing, all the food on here has been sitting for multiple days stored away somewhere.
Yeah. Now that's probably true for an all-inclusive resort too,
yeah.
But at least I have some plausible deniability. I can trick myself into thinking, delivered today, fresh.
And you're in control of where you get to go.
Yeah. Yes. To some degree, at least.
Yeah.
And the waste on the toilets is actually going somewhere else on land. So that's a refreshing thought that it might not just overflow everywhere like it did on that one. Ugh.
But hey, guys, another spooky season with my two favorite boys. I'm really excited to be here. Congratulations on both of your marriages.
Thank you.
I didn't get the fucking memo, so all I did was get engaged. But what can you do?
Soon enough.
Enough. I'm just trying to be part of the cool kids club.
Yeah,
that's right.
You'll get
Everyone's
there someday,
doing it.
Kid.
Yeah, all the cool kids are getting hitched.
We believe in you.
Yeah.
And also, I just want to tell you something that a lot of times I'll listen to the show, and
thank you.
Quite frankly, I'll be a little disappointed in what you think of movies.
We've been told that. Yeah.
Most of the feedback.
And you reviewed the movie Clifford, and I just want to let you know how proud I am of the both of you for correctly rating that film.
Yes.
CJ, I'm more proud of you than Ken because you rated it more correctly than Ken. It's a 10 out of 10 film. It is a cherished part of my childhood, and having just finished the third season of Only Murderers in the Building.
No spoilers.
None whatsoever. I would never. I think it has solidified Steve Martin and Martin Short as two of the greatest performers who have ever existed.
Have you been? This is not a spoiler of the show. I have been catching.
And that's where I disagree with Ken. Because I saw that little head nod, and I know what you think of Martin Short, and you're out of your mind. Dude, Martin just go back and watch every old Ed Grimley skit that he ever did on SCTV.
Martin Short is fine, but also not that good. But he was pretty decent in Clifford.
Pretty decent.
Steve Martin, of course, is a national treasure, but Martin Short's got this whole shtick that is
I think you're probably racist against him because he's Canadian.
Yeah, is it because of that? He's not. He can't be a national treasure because he's from Canada.
Because he's not from our nation.
Yeah,
he could be a national treasure, maybe not ours, but I would not even go that far.
I love Martin Short. I don't know what it is about him, because I think on its face, the shtick that he typically does not sound like something I would be interested in. But every time I see it, I can't get enough of it.
Jiminy Glick is the best. Just watch YouTube compilations of him interviewing celebrities. They're amazing.
You know what? I never really watched that show. It was just at a time where I wasn't watching a lot of TV, I guess. I don't know. But I have heard so many people tell me that it was their favorite talk show that they've ever watched.
I mostly have just been seeing, it mostly came across it from the YouTube algorithm. It's just surely this guy will like this stuff. And I was like, yeah, you are correct. I love this.
You nailed it, YouTube.
I'm only just watching little clips of it.
Let's not talk about horror movies. Let's talk about comedy.
No. We'll have you back and we can talk more about Martin Short, I guess. I might be sick that week. But we got to talk about horror movies. Look, we're rounding out Monster Month. We got to talk about some vampires. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back to talk about The Last Voyage of the Demeter, coming up on the Overtalking Podcast.
The Demeter, on charter from Romania to London. Shipping private crates. Contents unknown. Out at sea with no land in sight.
Evil is on board. Powerful evil.
We call him Dracula.
And we're back on the final week of Monster Month here on Overtalking Podcast, joined once again by returning guest Danny. For Vampire Week, we're talking about The Last Voyage of the Demeter. Danny, we're putting 30 seconds on the clock for you to describe for someone who's not yet seen The Last Voyage of the Demeter. I'm not sure how you really could spoil it, so just go for it. What it's all about.
Ready, go.
All right. So a man from, I believe, Central Europe buys some real estate in London and has to relocate his whole home in sort of a, modern day, big move, whatever situation. So he rents passage on a ship and finds the accommodations lacking. So he takes matters into his own hands, culminating in a successful voyage that is recounted in the book Dracula.
And time.
Yeah, I mean, it's not wrong. Yeah. It's more from a specific point of view, maybe, but yeah.
Technically not incorrect.
If Rashomon taught us anything, it's that the same events can have multiple points of view.
Sure.
That's fair. Yeah. Would you say that the ship was almost a character in this movie?
Oh my God. Okay, so
I agree with Ken.
Before we go too far, what this is actually, and Ira Glass already kind of explained a little bit, but this is a movie that takes basically one chapter of Bram Stoker's Dracula, the part where Dracula just basically gets shipped across the ocean, but it ends up that by the time the ship arrives in port, the whole crew's dead. What happened? Dracula.
And what's interesting is in the book Dracula, the chapter concerning this voyage is written as if it was just a series of captain log entries, which I believe are the captain logs that are kind of like narrated over during this movie.
Right, yeah. Right. So it's an interesting premise, and it's got some great actors in it, I thought. It's got that one guy from Game of Thrones, and who else is in it?
The Onion Knight.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, are other people in this movie of note?
The main guy, the doctor guy.
Oh,
not really a doctor, but I feel like I've seen him in other stuff. Let's move on. Clearly, none of us actually know who that is. So, Danny, I kind of presented you with, your choice of picking a monster movie, basically. Mm-hmm. Why did you choose Last Voyage of the Demeter?
Yeah, truthfully, as somebody who did a horror movie podcast for a long time, I find it hard to get excited about new scary movies. Most of the movies that come out are crap, and I've seen enough of that. So when this came out, I thought it was a really interesting premise. I think most people love the movie Bram Stoker's Dracula. And there's this part of me that just thought it was kind of clever to create this movie where it's like you could start Dracula, you could watch this movie during the voyage scene, and then you could restart Dracula. So it was just kind of that idea of it. And then it also, like, yeah, it's a vampire movie, but I think it's kind of novel. The setup that you have a bunch of people on a ship in the middle of the ocean and there's a vampire on board. Like, what do you do? How is it not just immediate massacre? What's the situation? I also like that the movie, I'll stop there before I just say everything I think about the movie. But yeah, that's really why. It is a clever enough premise. It's reusing like tried and true material, but trying to present it in a new way. And it's like, man, that's enough to get me excited. And you had also already reviewed Renfield.
Which was great, right?
Yes.
I actually watched Renfield later in the day after for the first time.
Nice.
And it was in fact great. And it was a nice pair up.
Oh yeah. Glad you agree.
Nice.
Yeah, I heard that somebody described this movie as like it's Alien, but Dracula and on a ship.
Sure.
Yes. Yeah. Alien on a ship is what the director described this as. Yeah.
Oh, it's the director. Okay, there you go.
The director said it, yes. CJ, have you seen any, like, I know your knowledge of horror is somewhat limited. Have you seen any adaptation of Dracula before?
I don't think so. I'm trying to... Okay. Yeah, I like, as we discussed in the Renfield episode with Carissa, which you can go back and listen to, I knew the trope of, like, the lighting of Dracula's eyes, that it's, like, shadowed above and below his face, but just as, like, or the opposite, something.
You got the reference.
Yeah. But no, I don't think I've seen any of those movies or anything.
Well, maybe next year.
You have such a wonderful slate of movies to watch, and also, if you're not careful, several horrible dumb movies.
Yeah,
unlike Renfield.
Yeah,
which we
Renfield.
I know this is going to fall on deaf ears, but CJ, if you're looking for something fun to watch for Halloween, Bram Stoker's Dracula is kind of like required viewing. I feel like
1000%. It's an excellent movie. It's not scary.
Yeah, it's not scary.
Yeah, they don't seem.
Almost beautiful at times. It's a very well-made movie that Keanu Reeves happens to be in.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
We should have just led with Keanu.
Yeah. All right, perfect. Well, there we go. Got CJ's Halloween viewing together.
Yeah.
Speaking of Halloween viewing. Segue. It's almost Halloween time at time of airing. Danny, what's a good recommendation for someone to watch on Halloween? Can you think of any?
On Halloween?
On Halloween.
I mean, there's really just one recommendation.
Halloween?
And it's Halloween. It's Halloween or anything in that pantheon. It's the one day a year it is okay to watch Halloween 3, which otherwise is just a cruel joke.
I love Halloween 3.
That's fine. Listen, that's fine. There's a case to be made. They just should have named it any other name.
Sure. Yeah.
What about the second one? I've never seen the second one.
The second one is just a continuation of the first one. A literal continuation of the first one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's more of the same. If you like the first one, it's same vibes, same actors, same everything. Just picks up right where the first one ends.
And in that same vein, like I call them the Danny McBride Halloweens. I think they did a good job of kind of picking up on that thread for the second one. I really like the first two Halloweens. But yeah, I think that you can't really go wrong. It's right there in the name. It encapsulates the season. It encapsulates the idea, and it's filled with people running around in costumes just like you'd see outside. So you really can't go wrong with it.
It's a good answer. No, I actually have a question for the both of you, seeing as this is our last Spooky Month episode. This came up in conversation the other day, and it really made me think, are mummies zombies?
Yes.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. Okay.
A specific
type of zombie.
A specific subsection.
Yeah. Because they're never really treated the same in movies. Or because I was thinking of monsters, and you're like, well, mummies are technically in the sort of like monster universe.
The only kind of main difference between zombies and mummies are mummies you don't typically like infect other people, I guess.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and if you're killed in general, you don't come back as a mummy. You have to like have a specific curse effectively to come back as that.
Yeah.
If anything, they're in the genus undead, which actually zombies, mummies, and vampires are all a part of.
True. Yeah.
Wow. So they're like mummies and vampires are cousins.
Yeah.
Vampires are closer to zombies than mummies, because if you get bit by a vampire, you come back as vampire.
Exactly.
As we see in this movie quite a bit. I wrote a couple notes about Last Voyage of the Demeter. I just want to quickly run.
I suppose we should talk about the movie some.
Yeah, I guess.
I'll bring it back.
But again, I just have such a nice time talking with you. We could talk about anything.
Absolutely. I'm happy to go on all these tangents. But also, I do want to put in there, I love when people just spontaneously catch on fire when sunlight hits them. I loved all of the sunlight burnings in this movie. It was very satisfying to watch.
I as a painfully pale person, I can really identify with that.
Yes, absolutely.
Here's a question for you guys about this movie, and maybe it's a bit telling, but what did you think of the use of computer graphics in this film?
It honestly didn't bother me. I didn't really I wasn't focusing on it, at least. I mean, I'm sure everything was computer CGI'd, but
I think the fact that when you asked, I had to think about it is a good sign. That it wasn't obvious that it was like, oh, well, that looked like shit. So I think because of that, it felt good.
I take it you were focusing on it though?
Well, I noticed it. And
that's not great.
I just, but I'm not complaining. It almost made me feel kind of good that like we're at this level of technology where you can create like pretty good CGI on what I'm gonna go ahead and assume is a limited budget. Like it didn't look as good as practical effects could, but the cost to pull off the type of practical effects that they were trying to do would be enormous.
Yeah. So
the usage of CGI I thought was really good. It just seems like a bit of a turning point for me. Like there was a point in time where, like in music, like people were honked off about MP3, like serious audiophile were honked off about MP3s because they're not a very good quality format. But now with streaming services who like don't use MP3s at all, like now it's fine. The technology catches up to a certain point, and I think this is kind of the same thing where like it's not just a fine line anymore, especially in horror. That if you use CGI, it's a cop out and it's not good and it's gonna look gross. It's like, no, man, people know how to wield that tool. The technology has caught up, and this is a great example of probably a movie that wouldn't have gotten made with a big budget at a big studio, but it's still a movie worth making.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, I noticed it, but I was okay with it.
Also, thank you for teaching me my new favorite phrase, which is honked off. I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes I really try to challenge myself to not swear, and I come up with some pretty fun phrases.
I like it.
Although that's a thing that's been around forever, bro.
Untitled Goose Game? Come on,
man.
Great. Danny, I do want to maybe blow your mind a little bit, but this is a big studio movie. Like this had a massive budget and is made by Warner Brothers. It's a big movie.
Oh, okay. So Warner Brothers can pay VFX artists well and do a good job.
So
Interesting.
Does that change your mind on what you think of the CGI?
No, because the budget shouldn't be in my train of thought when I'm watching a movie, right?
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't judge films differently based on budget. Wow, really?
Universal. Sorry, this is a Universal movie because they own all of the Universal monsters. So
what's the budget, or is that a question for that we might discuss later?
It's not a question. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's a Universal movie. I assume it's pretty large. I mean, they got a pretty big director now too. It's Andre Oredal. He did Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark and Autopsy of Jane Doe. I mean, maybe not that big, but those are
really, you're going to bury the best film that he made?
Autopsy of Jane Doe. Yeah, that is a very, very good movie.
That's
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark? You like Scary?
You haven't named the best movie he's ever done.
Oh, please tell me. What am I missing?
Troll Hunter. And that is not facetious. Okay. That is an excellent, excellent movie.
I'm not sure I've seen
Oh, boy. Treat yourself.
I've seen Trolls? Maybe I haven't seen Troll Hunter.
Treat yourself. It is not a horror movie per se, but I think it's still in the monster realm. It is a very fun movie.
All right. I'll check it out.
Oh, honestly, I'm shocked that you haven't seen it before.
I might have. Is it like 2010s? Is it like a while ago?
2010.
Yeah.
Probably, right? Yeah, I probably watched it when it came out, but it's been a while.
Text me after you watch it again.
Okay, we'll do.
Kelsey Grammer.
Star-studded cast. Wait, really? He's in it? I forgot that part.
What?
It's like Norwegian or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, based on the way the director spells his name, he's got two separate strange letters in there. So I don't know.
Scandinavian for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's Norwegian. They're not strange, Ken. They're just different. Okay.
Sure. They're different.
CJ, how much did this movie scare you? So I know that you're a bit of a scaredy cat.
I'm a little coward boy. That was me during most of the horror movies. So glad I got the iPad working.
Wow.
Dude, you're nailing it right now with the auxiliary sound.
No, this one was good. I enjoyed myself watching it. I don't think I was too scared. Like really what gets me is I hate jump scares. Mm-hmm. And none are like coming to mind with this one, or if they did do it, they did it well for me to not remember, I guess.
No, I think you're right. There's not many jump scares.
Yeah,
in this.
Jump scares I just think are cheap. I hate them. But other than that, no. Yeah, I thought this was a good time.
I'm with you. I think jump scares are. I'm on record. Jump scares are totally dumb. You know, there's a time and there's a place, but the cop out of complete silence to scary thing,
right,
is never it.
Yeah,
right.
I hate that.
That's startling, but it's not horror, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah,
I've maybe told this story before, and I don't know if you remember this, Ken, because it was forever ago. But going to the Six Flags haunted house things for your birthday one year.
Fright Fest, my man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hate haunted houses. And so throughout most of them, I would just talk to the actors most of the time, because I would point them out and say I see you. But then all they have to do is go and I would still go fuck you. Just cursing at them because it's cheap. Anyone could just walk up to you and go and you'll probably be scared.
But then afterwards, are you like, hey man, what was your motivation for this role?
How do you get into character? What's your backstory? So your parents left you at a young age or something like that? They died, or is that it?
Dude, I'm with you. I think it's Universal. The Halloween Horror Nights seem really interesting because my understanding is that it's less haunted house and more extreme diorama. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but that scene, I'm more interested. I want to see your makeup. I want to see the setup, but don't try to fucking scare me, man. I'll punch you.
I like going mainly for tradition to go into haunted houses, but yeah, I would appreciate if there's a story or something, which is kind of, I think, what those Universal Horror Nights stuff do, right? And plus they take IPs, and build whole haunted houses out of them. They made a Chucky one this year that I wish I could go to.
One of the finest Chicago-based films ever made.
Absolutely, yeah. Are you watching the TV series?
Never seen it. Never. Okay. I've heard it's pretty good, but nobody's talking about it that much.
I love it. I think it's hilarious.
Why aren't you telling me?
I'm telling you now.
Yeah,
go check it out.
All right. I got
a poster back here for the show.
There's precious little time left in October, but I could check it out. True.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Just started season 3, so it's already deep into season 3. Do you guys want to do some trivia? Should we do some trivia?
More than anything.
It's time for...
Hey, did you know that?
It's time to pit our guests and CJ head-to-head to see who knows the most about what we watched. Danny, CJ, let's kick it off. Here we go. First question.
This will be a good one because two of the questions I thought you might ask, one of which I know answers to, we've already established that you're not going to ask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've already crossed a couple off, so it happens though. It's okay. All right, this one, there's no way this would have been brought up. There was a 2010 5-issue comic book series that has a very similar premise to what this movie is. What is that comic book series called? And this is multiple choice because obviously you guys aren't going to know what this is. So, is it A, Death Ship? Is it B, Blood Ship? Is it C, Vamp Ship? Or is it D, Friendship?
Bravo, Ken.
I'm gonna take Blood Ship.
I think Death Ship.
Well, CJ, you got it. It's Death Ship.
All right.
It was actually written by Gary Gerani, who co-wrote Pumpkinhead. So, tying it back to that. Yeah.
Wait, what is this comic series about?
It's a vampire on a boat. I don't think it's specifically Dracula, but it's a vampire on a boat killing off everyone.
That's actually what the tentative title of the sequel to Snakes on a Plane.
Vampire on a boat. Yeah. Bats on a boat. I mean, that would be pretty spot on. Yeah. Although they just fly away, I guess.
Yeah, it's like, well, there weren't any bugs out at sea for them to eat, so they went away.
Yeah. All right, next question. Going to be tough for CJ. CJ, you haven't read the book either, I'm assuming.
Correct.
Yeah, so here we go. In Bram Stoker's Dracula, the book, what else can Dracula transform into other than a bat? And I would like CJ to answer first.
Huh. I don't think I've seen that in any lore. They don't cover that in What We Do in the Shadows. I have no idea. A dog.
I'm not sure I would have gotten this, honestly. I've never read the book either, but I'm not sure I would have gotten this. You said a dog?
Sure.
Okay. Danny, do you know?
No matter what, CJ should get a point because in a way he's correct.
Right, exactly.
He might actually be flat out correct. I was going to say a mist.
Well, okay, I'm going to give you both a point because the answer is fog and a wolf.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. There you go.
As soon as I said dog, I was like, I should have said wolf. That's
I actually, when you asked the question, I went with fog, mist, because I know that's one. But then I remembered that I had read some of the Wikipedia of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and they talk about, specifically, I remember the passage where he talks about the captain of the ship saw a dog-like creature run off the boat into England as he was tied to the he was tied to the wheel to keep it in the correct direction.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Gotcha.
Wow, even that was in the book? That's cool. They also allude to that in the movie too because they have the symbol of the wolf on a couple of different things. So I think that's how they were trying to tie that in. And also in the movie, fog kind of encases the boat at the end. So I guess that's his doing as well. I didn't really think about it. I was thinking why is that happening? But I guess
the powers of the vampire are far beyond your comprehension.
Apparently. All right. Next question. Dracula's look in this movie is largely based off of which unauthorized adaptation? CJ?
Oh, not multiple choice? Okay.
I can make a multiple choice if it's too hard for everyone. I'll just do it. Okay. Bela Lugosi's Dracula, Nosferatu, or Bram Stoker's Dracula?
Nosferatu?
Okay.
I think CJ is right, and I'll say without the multiple choices, I kind of would have had no idea because I would have guessed that Nosferatu. I guess I wouldn't have thought it's unauthorized, but
yeah,
I guess it is.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by that too, and I, of course, didn't look any more into it. But yeah, 1992's Nosferatu apparently is unauthorized. I'm not sure exactly what happened there.
Oh, that's funny. You know what? The Willem Dafoe one?
No.
Wait.
No, 1922.
I'm sorry. I thought you just said 1992, and that wouldn't have been correct either for me to say the Willem Dafoe one. No. Because there's no way it happened in 92. But okay, yeah, I get you.
I watched a Joe Bob episode with Nosferatu earlier this year, and so I actually do know why it's unauthorized. I don't remember the exact details, but it has something to do with the filmmaker didn't get the rights from the estate of Bram Stoker to make the movie because it's an adaptation of Dracula. And the wife of Bram Stoker, after he died, wasn't giving up the rights and refused to do it. So that's why this was unauthorized. But apparently Universal got a hold of it at some point. Yeah.
Fuck you. Turns out there's more than one vampire.
There we go. Yeah. We're going to call this one Nosferatu. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. So next question. This script for this movie has been floating around for quite a while. How long has it been in development hell?
All right. How about I'll pick a number, and then CJ, you pick over under.
I like that.
I'm gonna say 15 years.
Okay.
Wow. I'll say under that.
Wrong choice, CJ. Dan, you get the point. 20 years.
I thought as the moment I said it, I was like, I think I've made this too easy for CJ.
No, yeah, it's been a long time. It's been floating around. They've been trying to get this made for a very long time, apparently. It's gone through, a ton of different rewrites.
Okay, now
finally got made.
Picture that same CGI discussion, but 20 years ago. Then it would have looked like shit.
It would have been off, but I think they would have. I think it would have been a completely different film. I think,
yeah,
it would have been all practical effects and no Game of Thrones people in it because many of them were children.
Have either of you seen The Flash?
The movie?
Not yet.
The movie, yeah.
No, okay. And I'm not sure I want to.
Yeah. It's the CGI is just, you hit a certain point in the movie and you're like, isn't this like a multi-million-dollar, this was the best? And then you Google it and you're like, oh, it's because they treat their VFX artists like shit and make them work.
Did they unionize yet?
Not
yet. I know
they
were talking about it. Okay.
VFX artists don't have a union?
No.
Oh, boy. Well, I know that a lot of people in the industry listen to this podcast, and I just want the VFX artists out there to know that you have my support. I'll walk the picket lines with you if that's what it'll take.
Yeah, we can all shout into the void right now, and absolutely. Next question, bringing it back. This is the second of two. The first person to answer this gets the point. This is the second of two 2023 Universal films featuring Count Dracula. What's the first?
Renfield.
That's correct.
Oh, duh.
Should have been easy. CJ looked pretty stumped.
Did you have that moment of it can't be Renfield? Because I sure did.
That was this year. Yeah.
All right, how are we looking at points?
I think we're tied if I've been doing this correctly.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll just do the final question then. This will be the tiebreaker potentially. What is the Rotten Tomatoes tomato meter score in percentage, closest without going over? Just to make it fair. No, we can't do an order because you're tied. So we're just going to do closest. I'm going to need you both to either in the chat or text me your answer for what you think the critic score in Rotten Tomatoes is for this movie.
I feel like usually I can at least get in the ballpark. I truly have no clue for this one.
Okay. The answers are in. Danny, do you want to say what you put?
55%.
Okay. And CJ?
67.
Okay.
Dude, you're so close. Just say 69.
Never.
Well, sometimes that makes all the difference because it didn't this time, though. Danny, you get the point. You were the closest. The correct answer is 49%. So it's kind of low.
Interesting. Because I was going to put in, I was going to put in 50%. And I was like, well, but it's a horror movie. I'll bump it. Genre movies can get a little bump from the right reviewers. Okay, all right.
Yeah, but that makes you our winner. Congratulations, Danny.
Thank you. But I feel like we're all winners, really.
Absolutely. Truly. Just for fun, what do you think the audience score was on Rotten Tomatoes?
That's got to be higher, right?
Yeah, like 70.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my guess around the mid 60s or so.
75. Yeah, definitely higher.
Wow.
I mean, audiences are always going to give horror movies so much leeway.
Yeah.
I saw The Nun 2 the other week. Critics panned it, but the audience score was like 90% or something, and I just don't understand. It was a bad movie.
It sounds like I want none of that movie.
Hey-o.
You can kick me off this now if you want.
Well, not before we do ratings.
Oh, right.
It's time for ratings. Ratings.
You've heard us debating. We know you've been waiting. So now it's time to hear our ratings.
Have you heard that one before?
I can't wait for your children's show in like 5 to 10 years. It's gonna be so good.
Thank you, Justin Peters.
Danny, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate The Last Voyage of the Demeter for you?
Okay, I don't want you to react too strongly to this rating, but I've been thinking about it a lot, and I would give it a 5. And that's not a bad rating. Okay, like the middle is where things.
Wow.
In the world today, if something's not a 5, it's the worst thing in the world, and that's not how this shit's supposed to work. I had a nice time watching this movie. I didn't have a great time. It didn't do anything extra special. It didn't do anything particularly new, but it also wasn't a piece of shit. It wasn't phoned in performances. It wasn't a stupid schlocky bad guy. There was some cool gore. The CGI was good, but it was also CGI. There was just one monster. A lot of times there was a little bit too much earnest talks. So like, for me, this is right in the middle. And I shockingly, watching a horror movie that is not at the extremes of really good or just god awful is just so comforting to me. It's been so long since I watched a horror movie that's just like, hey, yeah, that was fine, cool. And I would rate it a 5. It was just an okay movie, but my heart goes out to it. But unfortunately, you don't get a higher rating because of that.
I like it.
All right, yeah. I think I might go next because I have a lot of the same thoughts as Danny, what you just said. Which, first of all, I'm giving it a 6. That's what I put on Letterboxd, or effectively. Yeah, it basically the only thing I wrote down was it delivered on its promise for what it set out to do, right? Like it's boxed in by what the source material is, and it stuck to it, and it did it in a way that was what it said it was. It was scary, kind of, but also not too scary, right? So it wasn't awesome, but it was totally watchable. It is what it said it was going to be, which is fine. So it just gets a 6. But I also hearted that on Letterboxd, which meant I kind of liked it too. So it's I want to circle back to Danny. Yeah,
our reviews were like exactly the same. My heart goes out to it. You hearted it on Letterboxd.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't usually heart something that I rate so low. Like a 3-star for me is typically lower, but yeah, it was watchable. And getting back to what Danny, what you were saying, like horror as a genre is difficult because so much of it is just really bad.
Oh, just so bad.
And to find ones, it's basically like sifting through sand to find a tiny speck of a diamond, right? Like you're looking for something really good and so much bad. And it's not a diamond, but it's a real cool rock. And I'm down for some cool rocks. I used to collect them when I was younger, and I'm happy with that. So that's where I'll leave it.
Shout out to Dave's Down to Earth Rock Shop in Evanston, Illinois, or used to be in Evanston, Illinois, where I used to buy my trilobites and amethyst as a young child.
Nice. Wow. That's an awesome, cool shop name.
It's a great name. I think it might be the impetus for my interest in puns.
Started you early.
CJ, what did you think?
For me, yeah, I'm exactly with you guys. Like, I didn't hate it. I thought this was fine. It was fine. I enjoyed it to an extent. It's nothing crazy. Yeah, I wouldn't say like, oh yeah, you gotta watch this. It's not doing anything new, really. I think I can't remember if this is the post-credits scene or just the ending. Sorry for if this is a big spoiler, but you follow the main character and Dracula is still alive. I would watch that movie. I would watch him chase Dracula through London way more than I would watch this movie.
You know what? I had a very similar thinking when I saw that, where like that's cool. That's not what happens. But then again, just because that's not in the book doesn't mean this isn't another thing that happened. Presumably, Dracula killed plenty of people in London.
Yeah.
That seems more interesting to me, him having to like go through the city chasing him down. Basically, kind of then it turns into a sort of detective movie where he's like trying to pick up clues from murders and see where he goes and stuff like that. But I think I'm gonna
Renfield. That's
exactly.
Really
Renfield rules. Yeah. It's the best movie.
Listen, having watched them both, as far as I'm concerned, it's all part of the same story.
Yes,
it's a good double feature. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna go in between you guys and give it a 5.5.
Oh, what a beautiful little sandwich.
Yeah. I think this was fine, but yeah, it's not. I wouldn't rave about it to friends.
Can I ask you guys a question that's a little off the subject, but maybe not? That like, okay, can we agree that the state of existence for humans right now is a little bit fucked up?
Yeah.
A little to maybe a lot of it fucked up.
Yes.
And we're on the other side of an unprecedented in our lifetimes global pandemic.
Ish.
Is our rating of these movies and influenced by, I don't know, like exhaustion from terror?
Trauma? Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking for myself, it definitely has affected the content I want to consume and would normally enjoy. Absolutely. Like I used to watch plenty of like more dramas and stuff like that. And now I'm like, I just mentally don't think I have it in me much anymore. Occasionally I will. This movie Past Lives was great. But other than that, I'm usually, if I'm sitting down to like turn something on, just give me a kind of lighthearted comedy. That's what I want as comfort.
See, that makes total sense, and I know plenty of people who take that side of things, and I'm sure that's where you are too, Danny. But I actually feel like I still seek out horror more to kind of cope with what's going on in the real world. Like it's like even further to the extreme than what is actually happening, so that I can still enjoy it and it be kind of like, well, could be worse. I don't know.
It's not that.
You know, dude, I think that's really interesting. And both of those make a ton of sense to me. And I think it's really interesting because just like humor can be a way to process tough emotions, feelings, situations. And I think everyone's very familiar with that concept. I think that what you're talking about is like the opposite side of that same coin, which is dealing with trauma through like scary things, but you fundamentally and clearly rationally know that you're safe.
Yes. Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting.
I think the other part of it too, for me, for horror in general, is I like the thrill that I get from it, like the adrenaline. I think that's just kind of like a treat. I don't know, to also kind of separate me from real world issues. So, yeah,
it's your escape. It's how you get away from those things. I think that makes a ton of sense. You know, I remember, I don't know what class it was in high school, but like watching Invasion of the Body Snatchers and like learning about it as it framed the like Red Scare, like rise of the threat of communism and like that sort of thing. And that was kind of like my first indication that like, oh, like there's more going on in a lot of these movies at times. And my favorite movies are the ones that kind of track, like Halloween is a great example. There is this subtext, this artistic subtext of something else, right? And not to say that this movie has any of that. And that's not to like talk shit on the movie, but yeah, I just find myself less enthused by horror than I ever have been. And that's aside from the conversation about like there's a lot of shitty horror movies that exist and it's hard to find really good ones. There were times where I would be willing to invest my time to find those really good ones. And now it's like, listen, if this isn't going to be good or I'm not interested on its face, I don't have fucking time for it. I want to travel outer space in Starfield because it's beautiful and calm and serene. I want I think a lot of the stuff that's popular in the Zeitgeist today really tends to this, where we've kind of evolved from fantasy and now we're into like outer space fantasy. And because we all want to get off this planet.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said.
Anyways, please buy shares in my my new startup. It's called Space Gen X, where we'll all rocket into outer space and watch 90s cartoons together.
Sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking, it rules, dude.
Well, I think with that, Danny, I think we're going to wrap it up.
I do love to leave on a positive note.
Comedy is tragedy plus time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing.
Absolutely. Listen to this episode in 5 years. Yeah, it'll be funny.
Sure, it'll hold up.
Yeah. Danny, thank you for joining us.
As we're huddled during into like a
fallout
trench during the resource wars. I can't wait to revisit your podcast.
The water wars.
Yeah. When our podcasts become currency, that's what people trade.
Ooh, sign me up.
It's the new Bitcoin, baby. Danny, thank you for joining us. Before you leave us, we've been asking people random stuff at the end, and I think, CJ, you brought this up last time. What's your favorite Halloween candy?
Oh, that's a great question. What am I most excited to get in my bag?
That surely you're still going around with, right?
Ooh.
It's at this point what you purchase for other people, and you just end up eating.
Do you not go trick or treating?
No, I'm a recluse. I stay inside.
Are you surprised? CJ, of course, doesn't go trick or treating. Of course, you and me, Danny, obviously still do.
Yeah, but I'm bald, so you at least get to go to 5 houses before the cops are called on you. For me, it's immediate. Thank you for letting me buy time as I think about this. It's hard not to say Reese's peanut butter cups, but I don't mean Reese's minis. Okay, those are garbage. I mean the regular size Reese's cups.
Okay.
Well, this came up last time.
That's currency.
How do you feel about the shapes? Like they come out with little pumpkin. They come out with shaped Reese's peanut butter cups.
Reese's peanut butter. Yeah, shaped Reese's peanut butter cups are better than normal Reese's peanut butter cups. Yes. The pinnacle of proper peanut butter to chocolate ratio is the Easter egg.
Yeah.
But the Halloween pumpkin is a close second.
There seems to be a consensus here, folks. I don't personally like Reese's peanut butter cups, but it seems like this is just fact now that those are better.
It is. I'm sorry. Was that
this is not for debate, Ken?
Yeah. Is there like a flat earther for?
Yeah, I guess I'm just speaking to everyone else who also likes Reese's, so I'm just gonna move on. Danny, thank you again for joining us. Happy Halloween!
Thank you guys so much. And just like last year, I really want to encourage you to spend February with women, asking them about their favorite podcasts, TV shows, and movies about murderers, real life murderers. Because I would be so fascinated to hear more about that and what draws women to it. And what better way to celebrate Valentine's Day than by celebrating a genre beloved by women, the murderers of women.
Danny, this is just your agenda of trying to turn February into another spooky month, and I will not have it.
And I am on board for it. We'll hash it out off there. I mean, we could at least do maybe one episode on that. I don't know. We'll see. I would love to do that, though. I just need to remember when February rolls around. Thank you again. Next week, folks, we're going to be talking about my experience at this year's Music Box of Horrors. I'm going to hopefully
Everyone pray for Ken's spine.
Yes, it has already happened, apparently. But yes, we'll be talking about that, and I will hopefully have guests on who also attended with me. So that'll be a fun listen. And CJ, I think you might not be there because you, of course, will not be attending with me.
Correct.
But yeah, where can people find us, CJ?
Follow us on TikTok. Hello, Gen Z. We're at Overtalking Pod on all the things. Call or text us at USACamp1591. Email us like Actor Wayne Knight did at overtalkingpod@gmail.com or go to our website, overtalkingpod.party. You can type in the word Danny to find all of his previous episodes.
Oh, wait. Speaking of previous episodes, Double Murder still exists. You can still listen to it. I don't care if you do. BloodyDisgusting.com might. Probably not. But it's out there. And someday, God willing, me and Tim will do another episode. And when we do, these two fine gentlemen will be on it.
I already watched the movie for it a couple years ago, so we're all set. Yeah,
we're all prepped and ready to go. Put us in, Coach.
Absolutely. Oh, hold on, guys. There's some bats in here. I need to figure out. Whoa. Yeah, they just transformed into the Overtalking Overlords. Apparently, they're vampires this week. I don't know. And of course, they're ghastly otherworldly landlords of ours that show up at the end of every episode. Remind you, if you like the show, please go on Apple Podcasts and rate and review. Reviews are what help people find this podcast. Also, we spend no money in advertising, so if you like the show, please tell a friend and spread the word. We would really appreciate it. Thank you. And actually, we got another review, CJ. We just, after pandering for so long, just kind of lost hope and haven't been checking. But there is a new review as of August, I think, actually.
It's just a solid month or two late. Great.
Yeah. Came in on August 23rd from Dan Gleesack, 96. Glowing review. Ken and CJ, hi CJ, are the greatest hosts of any podcast ever. They talk over TVs and movies. Like everyone loves. Where else can you find a podcast that discusses all Fast and Furious movies? Exactly.
Are you reading this as
Yes,
written?
I sure am.
Oh, God bless this beautiful person for this wonderful review.
These guys seem like they would be super cool in real life. I'm hoping they do a live show with a meet and greet. Any podcast with approval from actor Wayne Knight is good for me. I hope this review pleases the Overtalking Overlords. Thanks, boys. But they gave us 4 stars. Dane Gleesack, 96, please. I assume this is a mistake. Please update your review.
Do you know that they go to 5? Did you know that? There's one more star. I like that even more now.
Yeah. I also I feel like the missing star gives us the leeway to make fun of their grammar a little bit. So it's all good.
It was a very nice review. Thank you so much. I would love to do a live show. I think that would be a hoot.
It's something we've talked about for a long time with like an Overtalking Overlord as a guest or something. But
oh man, if we can get them there. They're so busy.
Maybe someday. Well, that's it for Monster Month, everyone. Thank you for attending. And we'll
was it everything you hoped for, Ken?
Yes, always. I love the October
Good answer.
Month.
Some hesitation, but
no, it is. Well, thank you again, Danny. And as we always say at the end of every single episode,
this is the story of its crew.
Bye.
Bye.
This Vampire Week episode of the Overtalking Podcast was produced by Ken and CJ, edited by CJ. This week's special spooky guest was Danny from the Double Murder Podcast. Music by Justin Peters. Logo by Nate Richards. Check out Nate's work on Instagram at Nate Richards Designs. Happy Halloween!